Hello. Um, there's nobody here. Well, um, nobody except for me. Um, I don't. I mean, I have a microphone, but I don't have it plugged in. I still need to learn how to get this whole setup. So it'll be here. Just pretend that it's on. As I said in the description for the video, I wanted to read part of a book called Supernatural Strategies for Making a Rock and Roll Group. This is very funny. It's not, as the title makes it sound, serious or offering esoteric or occult ways to um, start a rock and roll group, even though the category of the book on the back for categorizing it is popular music, how to, and occult. That's kind of part of the larger. The first half is this seance with Brian Jones, the one of the deceased guitarists for the Rolling Stones, and then the second half is this collaboration with the ghost of Brian Jones on writing this how-to, and it's not just I think a how-to for making a rock and roll group. I think it could easily be a good guide, despite the fact that it's kind of tongue in cheek. It does have some really good advice about the creative process and, managing frustrations with that. The frustrations that pretty much they don't just come with the territory; they really are the territory of the creative process. Is constantly frustrating and difficult. So I wanted to read just the first chapter, and it's not too long. It's really only page and a half, but I think it's part of the larger mission of my channel, Unfinished Business, which is supposed to be about unfinished creative work and sometimes why it's so hard to finish something or feel like something is finished. Some things are deliberately left incomplete or in a state of, let's say, warts and all, or a kind of work in progress aesthetic. And I'm interested in that, and interested in also established creators who, for one reason or another, maybe they died before they could complete a certain work, or there was something too ambitious about the work that they were attempting. And examples would be Kubrick's Napoleon biopic, Jodorowsky's Dune, Gaudi's Basilica, which I think they're still working on and maybe planning to be done by 2024. But as you can see, I think there's a lot of things that I want to learn about and want to share with all of you, and I want it to be in part video essay content where there's a chance to explore in that medium or that form of content, the history of these unfinished works. But then on the other side, maybe something more along the lines of a vlog, or, something that's a little bit more how to, so we have these great unfinished works by great creators that we can learn a lot about and just enjoy the entertainment, or the entertainment value and the history behind that, as well as the chance to collaborate together as this community builds, and get to finish our own work. So anyway, just wanted to tell you a little bit about the channel there. It's still very early days. I mean, I haven't made one video essay at this point. A lot of plans for them, but I mean, that's kind of that's kind of the deal. I have all these unfinished projects and want to finish them. And I think one of the reasons I have such a tough time finishing things is because how I start them or the expectations that I form at the beginning of a new project are maybe not 100% realistic. And so that's kind of what this chapter is about. The initial disgrace. Human artistic endeavors are typically born from a deep sense of shame. Only disgrace will entice a human to leave their place of security and risk his or her social standing. The first step, therefore, to getting started with one's group is to perform in an unready state or to release an awful recording with a hideous cover. Anything at all, just to create a humiliating object or event which must be transcended so as to obliterate it from the public consciousness. Human vanity imagines that our irrelevant endeavors loom enormously in the collective imagination. Therefore, once the hated happening occurs, or a despised artifact is released, self-loathing will consume the maker, who will long to demolish every copy of it and tear out the eyes of every viewer. However, unfortunately for the aggrieved, it will be impossible to destroy every copy or eradicate every person who's seen or heard whatever performance or piece of music the maker abhors. The only way for them to affect their awful legacy is to create something which alters it somehow, either by confusing the public perception of the previous failure or by overshadowing it with success. Otherwise, the loathsome phenomenon floats alone in a void, conspicuous by its singularity. Since no one's imagined ideal can ever be achieved, each recording or performance is another kind of failure, a response to the last sordid humiliation. After a while of doing this, one will have created a body of work. All art is, after all, a failure until the circumstances of history change, and somehow that kind of expression, for whatever reason, cannot be replicated any longer. Then it is perfect and therefore dead, something to be curated in books, historicized because the mode of recording has changed, or the sensibility that conceived it has become remote, exotic, or extinct, and is therefore fascinating to contemporary sensibilities. Though creation has these vulgar and infantile origins, it must be imbued with the pretense of meaning to redeem it. Getting started includes conjuring a meaning or a purpose for your group. So that concludes the chapter, and obviously because of the context of the book talking about starting a rock and roll group, you could apply some of that language and put it into a different context, whether that's painting, filmmaking, any kind of visual art, really anything that is has a creative dimension. This idea of the initial disgrace, or just doing it, as Shia LaBeouf might say, just do it. There's something to that is more than just kind of like gotta get up and go, gotta get on that grind set. I think sometimes that kind of talk is counterproductive or even judgmental, because sometimes people who are inactive or idle are not necessarily lazy. Maybe they're fearful. Procrastination and laziness, can be very different things. It can be procrastination can stem from approach anxiety. And so I think if you change, like I'm trying to do, and I'm by no means of this, really barely started living this idea in my life of just doing things before being fully prepared. Maybe a little bit of preparation is good, and you don't want to act too impulsively. But when you feel like you have an idea, and you feel like there's something that you really think you could make, I want to encourage you to something like the initial disgrace, and disgrace is this, negative word, but maybe it doesn't have to be, if we kind of keep in mind, and I'll repeat this briefly. The only way for us, let's say, to affect our awful legacy is to create something which alters it somehow, either by confusing the public perception, making a shambolic or unpreparedness or winging it part of the aesthetic in an artful way can feel like permission to make, I don't want to say bad art, but to make, to take action before you feel ready to. So I don't know if any of that resonates with anybody who's going to eventually see this. I mean, this is a live stream. I have I think my other personal channel is like one of my 2 followers. Let's just consider this a reached 2 followers celebration. I might do a more edited or polished version of reading this Initial Disgrace. I'm sorry, I probably seem really low energy. It's because I am low on energy, but I wanted to do this just to get it started. So, and not really trying to be meta here, but this is an example of where I'm not really ready to do this YouTube channel. But there are some things I know and some things I definitely don't know how to do, but I want to be trying, and really you're going to learn so much more by just trying and doing than you are by maybe ruminating on what you don't yet know how to do. So with that, I say adios for the time being.